Good morning, little ones. This is Grandma Carla, and today I have a very special friend with me. Her name is Evangeline, and she is here reading a story with me. And we're going to read the tale of the two bad mice. And this is another story from Beatrix Potter. Once upon a time, there was a very beautiful doll's house. It was a red brick with white windows, and it had real muslin curtains and a front door and a chimney. It belonged to two dolls called Lucinda and Jane. At least it belonged to Lucinda, but she never ordered meals. Jane was the cook, but she never did any cooking because the dinner had been bought ready-made in a box full of shavings. This is a doll house, isn't it? And here's a picture of the doll house.
What doll house?
It's a doll house. I'll show you. And then here's a picture of the dolls. Lucinda and Jane. There were 2 red lobsters and a ham and a fish and a pudding and some pears and oranges. They would not come off the plates, but they were extremely beautiful. One morning, Lucinda and Jane had gone out for a drive in the doll's perambulator. There was no one in the nursery, and it was very quiet. Presently, there was a little scuffling, scratching noise in a corner near the fireplace, where there was a hole underneath the skirting board. Tom Thumb put out his head for a moment and then popped it in again. Tom Thumb was a mouse. You see the pictures?
Pictures.
Let's show them the pictures. There's all the pretty food that came out of the packing box. And there is the mouse coming out to see what's in the house. A minute afterwards, Hunca Munca, his wife, put her head out too. And when she saw that there was no one in the nursery, she ventured out on the oilcloth under the coal box. The doll's house stood at the other side of the fireplace. Tom Thumb and Hunca Munca went cautiously across the hearthrug. They pushed the front door. It was not fast. That means it was not closed tight. There's a picture of Hunca Munca and Tom looking to knock at the door of the house, looking into the house, and they were looking into the nursery and saw that it was empty. So they tried the door and they were able to get in. Tom Thumb and Hunca Munca went upstairs and peeped into the dining room. Then they squeaked with joy. Such a lovely dinner was laid out upon the table. There were 10 spoons and lead knives and forks and 2 dolly chairs. All so convenient. Tom Thumb set to work at once to carve the ham. It was a beautiful, shiny yellow streaked with red. The knife crumpled up and hurt him. He put his finger in his mouth. It was not boiled enough. It is hard. You have to try, Hunca Munca. Here's the picture of the mice looking into the dining room, seeing all that gorgeous food, and there is Tom Thumb looking, trying to carve up the ham, which is not a real ham, is it? It's porcelain. Hunca Munca stood up in her chair and chopped at the ham with another lead knife. It is as hard as the hams at the cheesemonger's, said Hunca Munca. The ham broke off the plate with a jerk and rolled under the table. Let it alone, said Tom Thumb. Give me some fish, Hunca Munca. So there he's carving at the ham, and there the ham rolls off the plate right in under the table. So now they're going to try some fish. Hunca Munca tried every tin spoon in turn. The fish was glued to the dish. Then Tom Thumb lost his temper. He put the ham in the middle of the floor and hit it with the tongs and with the shovel. Bang, bang, smash, smash. The ham flew all into pieces, for underneath the shiny paint, it was made of nothing but plaster. Then there was no end to the rage and disappointment of Tom Thumb and Hunca Munca. They broke up the pudding, the lobsters, the pears, and the oranges. As the fish would not come off the plate, they put it into the red, hot, crinkly paper fire in the kitchen, but it would not burn either. Tom Thumb went up the kitchen chimney and looked out at the top. There was no soot. While Tom Thumb was up the chimney, Hunca Munca had another disappointment. She found some tiny canisters upon the dresser, labeled rice, coffee, sago. But when she turned them upside down, there was nothing inside except red, blue beads. Then those mice set to work to do all the mischief they could, especially Tom Thumb. So let's look and see the pictures so far. He went up the chimney and there was no soot. And Hunca Munca found nothing but red and blue beads in the canisters. And then they started to tear apart the house. He took Jane's clothes out of the chest of drawers in her bedroom, and he threw them out of the top floor window. But Hunca Munca had a frugal mind. After pulling half the feathers out of Lucinda's bolster, she remembered that she herself was in want of a feather bed. Here's the pictures. There's Hunca Munca finding nothing but blue beads in all of the canisters. And there's Tom throwing all of her clothes out the chimney. And there they are tearing apart the feather beds. What wicked little mice.
I want to see.
Okay. With Tom Thumb's assistance, she carried the bolster downstairs and across the hearthrug. It was difficult to squeeze the bolster into the mouse hole, but they managed it somehow. Then Hunca Munca went back and fetched a chair, a bookcase, a bird cage, and several small odds and ends. The bookcase and the bird cage refused to go into the mouse house. There they are, taking the feather bed off to the mouse house. And there they are trying to stuff everything they can find into the mouse house. They are stealing all the doll's furniture. Hunca Munca left them behind the coal box and went to fetch a cradle. Hunca Munca was just returning with another chair when suddenly there was a noise of talking outside on the landing. The mice rushed back to their hole and the dolls came into the nursery. Oh my, what are they going to find in the nursery? There are the mice tearing up more stuff. And there, the dolls are coming into the nursery. What met the eyes of Jane and Lucinda? Lucinda sat upon the upset kitchen stove and stared, and Jane leant against the kitchen dresser and smiled, but neither of them made any remark. The bookcase and the bird cage were rescued from under the coal box, but Hunca Munca has got the cradle and some of Lucinda's clothes. So here's the picture of the dolls coming in. And here's a picture of the mice with all of the baby clothes, all of the clothes. So Hunca Munca also has some useful pots and pans and several other things. The little girl that the doll's house belonged to said, "I will get a doll dressed like a policeman." But the nurse said, "I will set a mouse trap." And there is Hunka Munka looking at her new things. And there is the doll dressed like a policeman. And there are the mice looking at the mousetrap. Is anyone going to get caught in the mousetrap? So that is the story of two very bad mice. But they were not so very naughty after all, because Tom Thumb paid for everything he broke. He found a crooked sixpence under a hearthrug, and upon Christmas Eve, he and Hunka Munka stuffed it into one of the stockings of Lucinda and Jane. And very early in the morning, before everybody was awake, Hunka Munka comes with her dustpan and her broom to sweep the Dolly's house. So at least they tried to make amends. There are the mice, and they're putting into the stocking of the Dollies a little bit of money. And then there's Hunka Munka, and she comes to sweep up the doll's house. So they were sorry in the end, and they tried to make it better. And that is the story of two bad mice. And this is Grandma Carla, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I love you.